Hello, I have in front of me, as you can see, a Staunton pattern chess set with a board and a chess clock. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is a Jaques made chess set, and we know that because it says Jaques London on the foot rim of the White King. Now, Jaques started producing this style of set, the modern style of set, in 1849, and the whole gamut of chess sets up to from 1849 to 1939 have been catalogued by Professor Sir Alan First in his two books on the subject, and dating these sets is a fairly fine art. Fortunately, with this set, it came in a box. This was given as an award to a young man who won this in a competition, and it was dated 1889 to 1890, so we're pretty certain that this set was made in 1889 or thereabouts, within a year or so, because it would have been new then. And it's got this very attractive knight's head is one of the way that these sets are identified, but it's not the only way. We need to look at the way the bishop's slot is cut and whether the ball's a full ball or not, and then we look at the queen, the shape of the top of the queen, and the king, and the castles or rooks we look at as well, and also the pawns. These pawns have got rather small collars, and one wonders if this was an attempt by Jaques to minimise the chipping on the collars, make them more robust, because they were selling into chess clubs. Now this set's come to us, we've bought it, it's going to be restored. It's got one black bishop and one black pawn missing. Much easier to match the colour of the black side, obviously, than to match the patination on the white side, so that should be invisibly done. Two of the black pawns have got balls missing. That's fairly typical, the rough and tumble of chess club play. And then there's a little bit of damage, looks like a dog's chewed that pawn on the bottom there. That's also could happen when the pawn fell on the floor and the dog got it before it was rescued. The crenellations on the queen is damaged. On the white queen, a tiny little bit off, not very much, but that'll have to be repaired as well. Funnily enough, the bishops have all survived without any damage. The three bishops have got. One of the knights has lost its lower jaw. That will of course be done. And the castles or rooks on this set are very unusually have survived without any damage to the castellations on the rooks. They normally get broken off. That would be fairly common. Chips on the collars, even though the collars are quite small, they're still chipped. And of course, one of the problems with ebony is that it's much more friable than boxwood. This side is boxwood, of course, and it shrinks and cracks around the weights. Now, the weights on this set, all the felts are intact apart from one piece, and they're all the same colour, which is a good indication to us. They're all the same shade of green, that all these pieces are original to this set. And here's one that's lost its felt, and it's got the fairly typical marks, the insertion marks, because this lead billet wasn't poured into there, it was screwed in. There's a screw thread inside there, and it was screwed in with some kind of insertion tool which was jammed into the lead. So that's fairly typical. This insertion tool had 3 prongs. Quite often they have 4. It just depends who did it. And I've also got a badged Jaques badged chess clock. This is made by a Hamburg firm, HAC, but they were bought in and badged up by Jaques, and that's a nice thing to have to go with it. And of course, this is the original box. Now, normally, it's got this label on the top to say to date it, and of course, the crack in the top of the box will be fixed, repaired. And now, normally, there's a label. There'd be a Jaques and Sons label, or Jaques label. Would be Jaques and Sons at this date, I think, on there. And I will put in there a label to say the set's been restored in a similar style. And it's interesting to note that whatever material this isn't the same as on the base of the pieces. So the boxes were made up and presumably by someone else, and then bought in by Jaques. And we found a little Victorian key which doesn't fit this lock exactly, but I'll see if I can get it to fit and make the lock operate. It's a very simple single lever lock, not a complicated lock, but it just keeps it more secure. And this will be a very nice set when it's all restored, and ideal for play. A 3.5-inch king, slightly smaller than the recommended 5D size of 3 3/4 inches, but this very heavily weighted set is beautiful to play with. It fits the squares of this board very nicely, a 2-inch square, and it makes an excellent playing set, although of course these are fairly expensive and valuable, and you wouldn't necessarily want to take it down to the local chess club or congress to play with, but a nice heirloom set to have at home. There's another white pawn with a ball off. All these things can be fixed and can be brought up to scratch, and it'll be a very nice item. Thank you.